Hey everybody, Nick here, and today I got a review for you of this little guy right here. This is the Ferrum Forge Knives Stinger. First off, though, I want to thank very much my buddy Salvador for sending this guy along. He donated this guy to the channel, said, Nick, I got one of these guys. I love it. I think you'd love one too. And that was actually what I was thinking of picking up anyway, so it was win-win. So thank you very much for that, Salvador. Next thing, size comparison. Here it is against the Spyderco PM. Wow, Spyderco Delica. This is the Ontario Rat number 2. Here is the Spyderco PM2. And what we see here is in terms of sharpened blade length, we're not so far off the Delica. A little bit closer to the PM2 there. But anyways, so it's a moderately sized knife. It's not huge. It's not tiny either. So there is that. Next thing, and actually let me do a comparison against another Ferrum Forge here. This is the Pro-Line Archbishop 2.0. Or Pro Series, I forget which is which. But anyways, this is an Archbishop from Ferrum Forge. Same folks, just different design. So there you go. Next thing, who the heck is Ferrum Forge? Well, Ferrum Forge, as you can see from the logo right here, is a set of folks. They are based out of San Diego, California, just about 15 minutes down the road from me here. A nice set of guys, but they are making their knives. At least lately, they have had all of their knives made overseas. This is a knife that is made in China, I believe, by the Wee Knives Company. So this guy is, the folks designing it and whatnot are here in the States, but the knives are 100% made in China, to the best of my knowledge. So there is that. And then finally, just a quick note, because a lot of folks have been wanting this up front. The price on this guy is $90. And we'll talk about why that's a good thing later on. So on the good side, let's go, let's go ahead, jump into the good, the great, the bad, the ugly. It's like I haven't done this before. On the good side, to start with, this has a very nice size. I really like this size right here. This is around right in that 3.25 inch range, right? Which is a pretty solid piece. It just works out very well. I think it's enough knife for pretty much any task, but not too much. I just like this size, right? But coupled to that, the fact that not only is it a good size, pardon me, in terms of length, but it is also quite a good size in terms of thinness. This is a relatively thin knife. If we hold this up next to the Spyderco Delica, we see here, yeah, this is definitely on the thin side. It's also quite light. If I put this guy on the scale here, what we see is that this guy comes in at around 2.57 ounces for just about 3.25 inches of blade. That's a pretty lightweight knife right there. So I very much appreciate the size and the overall, and thin stock and everything like that. This is just a very well-sized knife. It carries quite nicely. And actually, part of the reason it carries nicely is because of this clip. Now, the clip is very short. I'll certainly give you that. But at the same time, it also makes it very subtle, and it's a very deep carry clip. The only part of this sticking up out of your pocket is going to be something along these lines here, and that's a not too much in the way of clip there. And it works, and it's positioned well. I think it's got the right tension. There's a lot to like about that guy. Next thing, 3 different color options for you. There's the black, there's the OD green, and then there is this guy, which is a tan. You could no doubt writ dye this to get yourself some other colors as well, and this is also going to be a piece that's going to take rescaling pretty well, I imagine. But nonetheless, that's a good thing. Next thing, this guy is, like I said, very, very thin. And I mean that both in terms of blade stock as well as in terms of overall just size. And that just makes this guy slip in the pocket beautifully. I think I covered this a little bit already, but yeah, it really does make an impression, right? In a world of very chubby folders, and even relative to a lot of what Ferrum Forge has done in the past here. This is way, way thinner, and that definitely does make an impression. Next thing, the action on this is nice. I'm going to go ahead and brace my hand against table, no movement. Yeah, deploys 100% reliably. And that's a great thing. It is a solid flipper action, just like you've come to expect, and that's great. And you know what? On the closed side, pretty good too. Absolutely good action. Good to go. And actually, speaking of the action, one thing that this is that you I didn't catch on to at first is this little fuller in here, also known as a crud groove. The little fuller here is actually great because it allows you to flick this guy open using your finger. You just use the finger on the other side here, and you can get in there. And let's see if I can do this under camera. Yeah, there you go. The detent is such that works quite well as well. And just come on. There we go. So that offers you yet another good choice. And, for some people, there's even the potential of a flip-a-tab to lead in that, I suppose. So that's good. Next thing, I do appreciate the details on this. This has been done very well. You can tell that the Ferrum Forge guys have designed a bunch of knives because, well, they've done things right. Not only do you have, completely flush screws here, which is good. The shadow boxing on the liners is there, but the liners themselves are kind of crowned. They're rounded over a little bit, so you don't feel it in the same way that you often do on other kinds of things. The pivot itself is not only is it recessed in there on the one side, the other side sticks out a little bit, but it is non-rotating. So they used to be the land of free spinning pivots. Now they're not. And that's a beautiful thing with their logo in the middle there, which is great. It has the clip. The clip is another area where they've clearly thought this out, because we can see here that the clip, there is nothing in the path there. The screw in there is completely flush. It's countersunk and mounted well there. And then the scales themselves have been kind of cut out a little bit in order to allow the clip to slip in all the way there. This is good. This is a really, really nice little detail, and it's one I appreciate. And then the backspacer here completely shields the tip from any kind of touchability there, as well as skeletonization on the inside of the liners here, which you can see inside there. This is one that very clearly they've spent some time thinking about, and I really do appreciate that. That's one of the things that makes this guy kind of stand head and shoulders above some of the competition and really earns its price point well above the $40, hey, we made another line of luck kind of knives out there in the world. So I appreciate that. Next thing, ergos are on point. Ferrum Forge has always been really good at ergonomics, but this is no exception. This works very well in my relatively small hands. Just my hand really locks in there, and especially using that the finger choil here, which also serves as a sharpening choil. Oh, yeah, that's good. And so in this grip, absolutely 100% great balance, really good maneuverability. I'm a big fan of maneuverability, really? It made sense to me, okay? Work with me here. Then finally, that brings us to the price point, which is a $90 price point. Yep, that'll do. So with Nitro V steel, with good construction, with really nice details here, and a good design, I'm completely okay with that. I think it's a good price, and I think it puts it in a very good range where it's going to be competing against some pretty serious stuff, but I think it can stand that competition. So to me, at least, all that is the good, is that the price is very solid, the ergonomics are good, the details are definitely there. It's got the fuller for deployment versatility, a nice action, super thin, nice clip, 3 different colors, and a very, very nice size. On the great side, the blade, oh my God, the blade. Not only is this a nice blade shape, a little vanilla, but you know what, it works great, but with the full sharpening choil and whatnot, as well as a little bit of rounding on the top here. It's not quite a swedge, but they've got a nice little extra thing there, which means that the sides of the blade aren't going to reach out and cut you. Again, the details are there, and the jimping here is quite good as well. This is quite good in that way, but it also has a deliciously thin edge. If we look at this guy, oh yeah, that's coming down to a beautiful little edge. Come on, focus for me here. Yeah, look at that. That means that this guy cuts like crazy. This is a beautiful, brilliant cutting machine, and I really appreciate that. The steel on it is a Nitro V steel. Nitro V is a steel that isn't used all that often these days, but it is a nitrogen-based steel, as the nitro might imply to you, and it is absolutely solid. Based on some cutting tests from my buddy Pete over at Cedric and Ada, depending on heat treat and whatnot, it seems to perform in that area around S30V, that kind of thing, with some occasional excursions high and low. Obviously, I can't do those kinds of scientific testing because, well, that ain't my job yet. But at the same damn time, it is a steel that I think is absolutely good to go for everyday carry. And so, to me at least, all of that means it's not going to be like the, oh my God, top of the line sort, but you know what? It works. It's absolutely fine. And in my daily carry, you know what? It's worked great. So, absolutely great blade. That is the thing that is great to me. Oh boy, this blade. On the bad side, honestly, I'm going to be real with you here. I'm nitpicking pretty hard. I'm digging deep because this is well done. But the fuller here has very straight walls here, and that means this is going to collect crud. It's going to be hard to get in there and clean that fuller out of there. That straight wall is exactly what allows you to grab a tiny fuller with your finger there. And so it's sort of necessary, but I guess I would have liked to have seen the fuller kind of fade out, so that way you can wipe it out in one direction. I'm digging here. And then it is also a little bit on the pocket pecky side with this little jimping here. a little on the sharper side. So this could scratch something else in your pocket there. But beyond that, honestly, there is really not much bad here. So, and there's nothing ugly. So I guess that's the negative, is it's a little pocket pecky with the sharper jimping, and the full is going to collect some crud. Final conclusions, this is really nice. With a great size and weight, with good color options, a great clip, good action, 2 different deployment methods, great details, great ergos, a good price, and a really awesome blade. All of this thing it's good, and the downsides are just barely downsides. They are nitpicks. And so, honestly, yeah, I'm impressed. But what's more refreshing here is the price. I keep saying honestly, but I'm being honest here. This is a world right now where it feels like there are 2 kind of price points. It feels like there is $150 plus, and it feels like there is $35 to $45 China Day too. This is someplace that's in the middle, and I appreciate that. I think they've hit a nice price point here. They're not competing at the $150, $160 levels where you're expecting these days things like M390, things like nicer finishing, although again, this isn't poorly finished in any particular way. They're not really aiming for the high-end sort of thing, and they're certainly not anywhere near where their stuff has historically been, right? And so they're not going up there, but they're also not trying to compete in the $45 D2 market. They're not up against your Civivi shredders and that kind of thing, even though in a lot of ways, I mean, there is some feeling of Civivi here, the refinement of this design, the smoothness of the design overall, and the fact that you can tell somebody labored long and freaking hard is able to put this guy over and above a lot of what you're seeing in that market, right? You're able to see very clearly that somebody spent weeks on this design rather than it feels like very often from smaller companies having spent 20 minutes on it. So I really do appreciate that very, very much. There's very little good, strong competition right in this kind of price point. You're up against things like the FRN Chaparral, for sure. There are some great knives in there. I don't want to downplay that, but this is a really nice price point here. Sure, I'd love to see it cheaper, but I'd love to see everything cheaper. I think they did a really good job doing everything they needed to do right here, while at the same time not going too high, and especially right now in this economy, it's a beautiful thing to see something a little lower. So this leaves this guy a pretty big fish in a relatively small price pond, and so that's great. But even putting aside the price, like I said, I'm impressed. The design on this guy is really excellent. The size and the cutting power are really great. And the blade on this guy is just beautiful, both in the sense of I like the lines and in the sense of holy crap, this thing cuts. And as a result, this is quite clearly a gem. This is a really impressive piece, and this is a piece that will absolutely be recommended by me on a that I will recommend. That's the proper non-passive version of that. I'm going to be recommending the crap out of this knife over and over and over again because it is relatively inexpensive for what you get. It's good. So if you're looking for a thin, slicey flipper, which isn't going to cut down your bank account too badly, then the Ferrum Forge Stinger here is absolutely not going to be a stinker. Get it? Stinker? No? I'm trying over here. Anyways, hope this has been interesting to you and that you have yourselves just an absolutely wonderful rest of your day. Bye now.